There's a bullet here that says you made a huge scene in JFK Airport. Can you tell me about that?
I did. So right when I found out that I was going back to the Philippines, it was in the mid to early 90s. So there were a lot of plane crashes that happened during that time. And in combination with that, and like, there was like a big news story at the time too with this cult that did like a mass suicide.
Yeah. Oh man, what is that? What is
Heaven's Gate. It was
yeah.
Heaven's Gate. Yeah. So they all wore the Nike shoes and wore black tracksuits. So, and the lead guy freaked me out, and I kind of associated that with the plane crashes.
And you're watching this on television, on the news and stuff, like in the 90s? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that I mean, no offense, is that a normal thing for a second grader to be watching on television in the 90s? I feel like you've matured very quickly in this story growing up.
I think because, again, for the longest time, I was the only kid.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to rise to the occasion of like being on the same level, especially when there's such high expectations of you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, there were so many people taking care of me at once. Like, the news was always on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did have and my TV time was specifically scheduled.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to do certain things, then I could watch TV. And usually it was like Bill Nye the Science Guy, Carmen Sandiego, like classic.
That's awesome.
90s children's television. Clarissa Explains It All. Do we know this? Are you too young for this?
I've never seen that. I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
We used to watch Bill Nye all the time, and we had the Carmen Sandiego computer game, so I know that one too.
There you go. So you need to Google Clarissa Explains It All. It was on Nickelodeon. Okay. Melissa Joan Hart, before she was Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, and I was enamored by her because I was like, nobody else has my name, and now this girl who has this awesome life like has my name, so I had to watch her.
Gotcha. But anyway, so you're in JFK Airport, you've watched a bunch of news stories about cults and plane crashes.
Yep. And in combination of like, I'm leaving my life again and I'm leaving my mom, I freaked out, crying, like ugly crying, like like hyperventilating. And again, my mom was still like in her mid-20s and she didn't know what to do. And it was still, at the time, it was pre 9/11. You could still walk people to the gate.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have a boarding pass or anything, so you could go through security, see your family and friends off at the gate. She knew I was nervous, so she went with us. And at one point, she's like, it got so intense for her that she tried to run away from me and hide.
Oh my God.
And I remember like chasing after her, like looking for her. And she was like behind this construction zone. And I was like, what are you doing? You're leaving me. And I just remember like, and then I cried so hard, I threw up. Being the, parent mom reflex kicked in. She like slow motion, like picked every drop up. But at the same time now she has like a handful of vomit, a hysterical child. Her mother, my grandma, was flying with me. And so the person at the gate was like, is there something wrong? And me just...
What is not wrong? Everything's wrong.
But I was trying to not get on that plane. Like, I was going full out. So I was like, they hurt me.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And my mom's still holding all my vomit. Is like, what could go wrong right now? Yeah. And then like the worst thing happened where it was just like, your flight's delayed now. And in my mind, I was like, there's something wrong with the plane. That's why I cannot get on this plane. So eventually my mom was like, I gotta go. We gotta cut this off. She's getting on the plane, whatever. But yeah, so that kind of was like super traumatizing where afterwards, and I was gonna be on that plane for 15, 16 hours.
Wow.
So, that was the daunting part too, is like, even if I got on the plane, it wasn't going to be a quick hour ride. It was going to be a straight 15 hours of like Yeah.
And in the 90s, you didn't have like the entertainment. There was no movie like on your screen here. So
You couldn't, I mean, you could, there was movies, but you couldn't choose the movie.
right. It was
It
like,
would be like some B movie you've never heard of
right.
that like is inappropriate for children. So
Jeez, that is crazy. Your mom ran away and hid while you were you freaking out? That's
I,
all.
I was freaking out. And like they almost arrested my grandma because they literally thought that I was being abused. And they're like, listen, you cannot get on this plane if you don't sort her out. Like, and we'll have to like take you into custody. And yeah, so that I was.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That sounds brutal. I'm sorry to laugh. I mean, that probably is one of the most traumatic, like awful memories.
It's hilarious. Like the crazy thing is, it's like when I'm going through all these things, it's only recently that I've started like laughing about it because it's ridiculous. It's crazy. And you know, my fiance had kind of like a similar like upbringing like you did. Like everyone was the same. You grew up with the same people. And I'm talking about buying cigarettes and all this stuff. And he's like, that's not normal, but that's fucking hilarious.
No, I mean, I think normal is so boring. Clarissa, honestly, like I know that, you know, I'm very, very appreciative of my parents and like the lifestyle that they provided me and my sister and everything. But like, honestly, I feel like in many ways I'm much less interesting than some of the people that I meet, and I'm less like skilled at things. But it's like, oh, like, oh, boo-hoo, you grew up and I get it. I know I'm not, but I don't know. I think you should appreciate those things. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.